Sick Boy Wolfgang Productions presents The Offering with Jerry Horror. A deep dive into the history of film and its filmmakers. Mostly horror, always genre.
Everything's a show. Everything is just content. Nobody wants to believe me on this, but that's kind of the way it is. We were talking about this before, like with even the Kardashians. I haven't seen one of those shows in a hot minute. I feel like it's probably been almost a decade since I've seen a reality show like that. And the reality of a reality show like that is like it's just people eating sunflower seeds and farting. That's content, you know? I don't know if it's compelling content. Oh, I'm Jerry Horror, by the way.
And I'm Peter Bune, also known as Producer Pete.
Oh, yeah. If you guys probably have wondered who Producer Pete was, this is who he is.
That's me. And we're here to kind of talk about what to expect for season 2 of The Offering. Or do we want to sum up what season 1 was about?
We could. It's funny, as we're doing this, we're watching Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom.
Jurassic World.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
And you put it on. I thought it was Detective Pikachu.
Don't want to get those brand IPs.
Black Eyed Peas? brand IPs.
Those brand IPs mixed up.
Yeah, you put on a Justice Smith movie, and I was hoping it was Detective Pikachu, but it was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
You know what? There's a bunch of stuff happening in this movie. We're watching this film, and it's really beautiful to look at. You're watching all the...
It's actually better with no sound.
Yeah, we've got no sound on, because otherwise you would just be very intrusive to this whole podcast.
Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty.
You want to get to the nitty-gritty?
Yeah, so season 1.
Season 1 was kind of interesting. I think for the most part, it's about finding your footing. A lot of people, because I'm still new to this myself, people asked me a lot, how did you do the first season? And we found our footing quicker than most people do. I always feel sorry for people who have to do like 90 episodes and they're like, oh, okay, this is clearly the direction we need to go in.
Well, if you listen to the first 4 or 5 episodes, we didn't know what the show was yet.
Didn't even know.
Didn't know what the show was. So like, if you look back, you'll see episodes like Mitch and the Claptrap. Or even though I don't know if people slept on it, but your tribute to DMX was really nice.
And I love DMX. Nobody listened to it.
But that's not what the show became.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think that's part of the magic of podcasts is that there is a bit of therapy to it. So when you're doing these things and you're kind of talking it out, you're figuring out your own problems, but you're also figuring out your strengths, sometimes your weaknesses. And that was something that became pretty clear and apparent, that I enjoyed doing the research for these deep dives. And that's kind of where I think we found our footing.
And you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't have a microphone. I'm there with you, but I don't have a microphone usually. This is the first time your listeners are hearing my voice.
Yeah, and there's a bit of the magic trick when you do it by yourself. It's very much like a Harry Houdini. You know, you're in the glass case and everyone can see you.
I like it because no one's talking over each other. When you have a show with 3 or 4 or 5 people, it just kind of turns into like people talking over each other.
Yeah, people
getting excited, and because like I did a podcast called Pitch a Movie Podcast, and that was us pretty much talking over it. But that podcast was a creative podcast where people were pitching ideas. And I like your podcast because you're learning things. And we found that when you share what you learned with people, mostly horror, always genre, that it's become almost a film history class.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you listen to a lot of these podcasts, even the ones that I love, like I love We Hate Movies, I think they're one of the best ones doing it. Sometimes it gets to be because you have like 4 funny guys or 4 funny girls or whatever that's made up of. You got 4 funny people. Can I say that?
Beyond the binary.
Beyond the binary. You have 4 funny people and everybody's just trying to get their bid in. Everybody, and that was even the thing with like the podcast you guys had, Pitch It Movie Podcast.
Yeah.
Like
our guests would even they had to fight for positioning.
yeah, you got to fight to
They
get.
were like we were all like basketball players under the net trying to get a rebound.
Yeah, do I get my bid in? Can I get my piece in? And that's cool. But I think what happened with this podcast, with The Offering, was the learning component of it to me is very infectious. Because whenever I learn something, I want to tell you all about it. The other day, I started getting into the whole history of Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, you told me all about it.
So I've become completely obsessed.
That's why we did this, because when Jerry learns something, he immediately has to share it with people. And instead of just sharing it with one or two people, he's going to share it with a whole bunch of people. And
We're going to share it with the world.
The Offering is about sharing.
Sharing is caring. Don't let anybody ever kid you. No, but I really enjoy it. And I think that's part of the infectious nature of the show, is that I get to learn these things and I get so excited about it that I get to share them with you. And I think that's really what makes this show so unique, is that there is an educational component to it. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's kind of fun. Because to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot of shows that I listen to just because I like them. But I do enjoy a good show that has the funny component. You're being entertained, but you're also learning stuff.
You want to walk away with something when you listen. When you spend an hour with a podcast, a show.
Yeah, what's the nutritional content of what you're getting?
Right.
And that, to me, that's important, because you definitely want to walk away with something, even if it is like we were just talking about. We're watching it with no sound, Jurassic Park: Fallen Kingdom, and
Jurassic World: Tragic Kingdom.
Watch out for the spider webs. No, it's crazy because we're talking about like the guy who directed this, and this is J.A. Bayona.
Something like that.
Don't even quote me on this stuff, but he was a guy who did a bunch of like Liam Neeson movies. So it's like these kind of like these dad for noon thrillers that are on HBO, like, where it's, you made a bunch of movies where some tall Irish guy murdered people. Hey, you're perfect for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Yeah. I gotta say though, as we're watching this movie, we're talking about we should be doing a commentary on this film.
It's so good with no sound on. And I'm not saying not to take away from the sound designers or the composers. Maybe it's the the performances are fine. The dialogue is fine. I don't know, but it's just so much better to watch it with no sound.
It's a beautifully shot film.
You know what it is, Jerry? Yeah. It's because we could talk shit about it without hearing what the intended sound's supposed to be. Yeah. We're not really. Actually, we weren't talking shit. We were like saying how beautiful it looks.
No, that's what it is. Is you take for granted some of these movies, and a lot of times it's hard to distinguish. Again, I hate to say it again, but I'm going to say it. It's all just content, and I think sometimes you have these movies we were talking about before with like Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, first to preface, we're watching all these dinosaurs, and we're not watching with awe. We're not like blown away, and we should be.
Yeah.
This amazing CGI, we've brought dinosaurs back to life, but we're just kind of watching it. You might as well be watching it on TikTok or Instagram. It's just content.
Yeah.
And with Boba Fett, 10-year-old Jerry and Pete would have been blown away by Boba Fett riding a Rancor.
Yeah.
And a little baby Yoda putting it to sleep. But we're just like, yeah, that was TV. We watched it.
And now it's just another episode.
It's just another episode.
And that's
just like Scream 5 was just another episode.
That was what
I know we sound like we're talking all over the place, but this is how Jerry and I talk.
Yeah, this is just normal shit.
Yeah. But it's just another episode.
Yeah. And
well, let's, speaking of other episodes, let's sum up season 1. You kind of disgust me.
I disgusted people.
What was the theme of season 1?
Season 1 was kind of about the history of Dimension Pictures. Mm-hmm. I got to do a lot of like fun little side films. Like I got to do Strangers and things of that nature.
No Holds Barred.
I got to do No Holds Barred, which is an amazing film. But
well, let's go by the numbers. Our least listened to episodes were the ones that weren't part of that. We found that people were drawn to those episodes, the Dimension Picture shows.
Yeah.
Because when we went to like G.I. Joe versus the Masters of the Universe series or No Holds Barred, people weren't that into it.
No.
did Cultivate 24,
Yeah.
which I liked. But
Yeah.
but once you started going into horror and those specific 80s, 90s horrors, the numbers were up.
Yep.
So
It became kind of a very obvious thing that there was a new Scream movie coming out, so there was excitement about the Scream franchise. And as I further explored Scream and the history of it and getting into Dimension Pictures, getting into Miramax, getting into the Weinsteins, getting into Wes Craven, the deeper and deeper that I went, it just got more exciting. So we started covering all of those movies from that time, from that era. There's a couple that we missed, obviously, but it's very interesting, and I think it was a very fertile ground for a lot of younger fans. If you were growing up in the late 90s, that's the stuff that really was tickling your imagination, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every generation kind of has its earmark where there's a time and a place, and Scream, the series, was very much a time and a place. Scream 3 comes out in the year 2000. It was delayed because of the whole Columbine thing. They had to basically make the film virtually bloodless. And if you look at it like that, Scream should have never left the 90s. That's kind of... And listen, I enjoyed 4, and I enjoyed the most recent entry, but I do believe there's something that is just... I have this theory about the Friday the 13th movies. And the last real Friday the 13th movie is Jason Takes Manhattan, because I think that comes out like 88, 89, and it's the last in the cycle of the 80s. And I'll say this to the people who are producing, because I know at some point they're just going to make another Friday the 13th movie. What it boils down to is you should never have Jason leave the 1980s. That's a mistake. It's an absolute mistake. I know that I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's very important for horror movies to have time and place. You know, if you go back to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, whatever it is, there needs to be a time and a place, because 1950s horror movies have a much different flavor from 1960s. And then obviously 70s is where we don't even care about the Motion Picture Association. We're just doing whatever the hell we want. So you're getting like a lot of ultra violence. You're getting a lot of art house films. People forget that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yes, it's a very titillating title, but at the same time, Texas Chainsaw is an art house film. Mm-hmm. Like you could show that at a gallery, and I don't think anybody would think otherwise.
Right. It's almost like Tobe Hooper didn't care about he wasn't trying to make a horror movie.
No.
He was trying to tell a story.
Just telling a story, making a movie. I think that's really what turns me on about what I do, is I'm just trying to tell these stories. I try to get as much information as I can from credible sources. And, you know, a lot of that, thank God for Fangoria. Thank God for a lot of these, you know, like famous monsters of Filmland. Like, without a lot of these publications, I wouldn't be able to go back and find the data that I have. So, yeah, it's kind of cool that these things exist. Even some issues of Gore Zone.
Before we kind of make an announcement about season 2, which are what the theme is and when we are coming back, I think we should talk about what we've been doing in our break, in our winter and spring break.
I learned how to play tennis. No way.
We wrote a web series, Jerry.
We did. We wrote a web series. We wrote a TV show, basically.
Yeah, called Peg Warmers.
Yeah, it's called Peg Warmers. Get pegged.
That tagline's not approved.
No, not a probably will never get approved.
Let's talk about what it is. So it's almost like the first time we're kind of publicizing it. We hope it gets made.
Yeah. It's Peg Warmers is basically goes into the nitty-gritty of the toy life, which is people who collect toys.
Toy hunting, toy collecting. Vintage toys, specifically.
Yeah.
Retro, vintage, toy relics. Specifically the 80s. 80s toys. 80s IPs, as you call it.
Yep.
And it goes into, well, what does the term peg warmer mean?
Peg warmer can also be a shelf warmer, are just toys that nobody cares about, and they're just left on the shelf. Like right now, a key example of those Eternals figures that are never going to sell.
Right. I just got back from Disney World in Orlando, and I was sending Jerry pictures of Eternal figures that they're really trying to push at Disney.
It's so sad.
A lot of Eternals stuff, and I'm like, Jerry, these are peg warmers.
Those are peg warmers.
But our show is about, you said that peg warmers are toys that nobody wants. Our show is about characters and people that nobody want.
Yeah.
Disregarded people. It's a dark comedy. But we're also, I was saying to Jerry that I wanted it to have a feel of like Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Where it's anxiety ridden. There's a narrative propulsion towards something very dark and sinister. We think it's funny. It's dark comedy because it's still about toys. It's about people who collect toys. And Uncut Gems was about gambling and jewel industry.
Furby
jewelry. And
gambling.
I said gambling. It's cut from the same cloth, I think.
It is, because I think that a lot of the characters have this emotional connection to these
to their past,
items.
to the nostalgia of their past, and they're clinging to what their life was and what they thought it was going to be, what they wish it was, which was
It reminds them of a better time.
Better time. Yeah, that's it. So hopefully Peg Warmers gets made. Hopefully we'll put together a cool team of filmmakers, and hopefully you'll get to see it soon.
Yeah, I think people like Peg Warmers is something that people need to see. I think you're really going to enjoy it once we get it made. I know it sounds terrible that I'm like prefacing this, but I kind of have, I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant, but I have a feeling that it's something that the world needs right now. I know it sounds terrible to say that, but
why? Why do you?
Well, I think all of us.
I know why you want it. I know why it's a story that we think we wanted to tell.
Yeah, it's a story that needs to be heard, and I think a lot of times you have characters in TV shows that you can't really relate to, and I think that was part of this, was that it's about small victories. You know, it's not about these. I think we talk a lot about this when, especially with superhero films. I like the more character-driven personal stories that are about Superman's got to do his taxes. You know, it's not about Superman.
That's why Peacemaker is so great.
Exactly. I
mean, there's the butterfly storyline, but the best parts of Peacemaker is
the small character-driven stuff,
which is why I think Vigilante is my favorite character on that show.
I like Vigilante.
But yeah, so that's what we were doing in our break.
Yep. Learned how to play tennis too.
I did not witness any of that.
No one learned.
Table tennis?
Not even that.
Wii Sports tennis?
Not even that.
All right. So season 2.
Season 2. I'm not going to say anything. I think here's the problem. Everybody's always giving you tidbits and nuggets and blah 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 blah. I don't think we should say anything. I think maybe we should hint around it. There's going to be a theme to it.
Yeah, that's it.
Like that's.
Well, we're also looking at projected to come back around April.
Oh, I don't date anything.
Yeah, I don't date anything either.
Look at these nerds.
Yeah, we're looking at April or May, like the same time that we started last year.
Yeah, I think what it is too. Now that we kind of know what the hell we're doing, it's a little bit easier for us to be concise and kind of know. But the way that I wanted to arrange it this time for these new seasons that are going to be coming is it's very itemized, and it's very much, like you said, a syllabus. There is a reason. Yes, of course, like last season, there's going to be some surprises, but a lot of it is about telling there's an overarching narrative. It's not just, why is he talking about random movie A? Why is he talking about random? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine to do. But I thought that it was important to tell a larger story through each episode. Almost as if there's this other narrative that's looming in the background. And hopefully, if we're able to pull it off and it works right, you'll listen to it, you'll listen to the whole season, and you'll be like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. I see exactly what they were trying to do with that. And hopefully we can do that for you.
You're still working out your lineup.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because
it's like so we have a couple of friends that are teachers, and I refer to them like, how do you put together your syllabus?
Yeah.
So that's where we're integrating some of those ideas into the show.
Yeah, and that definitely harkens to the whole educational side of the show.
You know, by the end of the season, you want to get your diploma.
Yeah, that way
or certificate.
you feel like you've learned something. You feel like you've gotten something out of the show. And to me, that's the most worthwhile part of this. I'd like to say to people, oh, well, we're going to do this, and it's going to be bigger and better. And it kind of, yeah, it will be, but I'm not trying to, I'd rather just show and prove at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like the right thing to do?
Yeah. Before we go, I just want to encourage people to keep listening. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow Jerry on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Jerry Horror.
That's right.
At Jerry Horror.
I appreciate when you follow me. I'll follow you back because I'm cool.
Kiss me once, I'll kiss you back.
Yeah, but I won't follow you back if you're just doing some lame stuff. I'm not going to follow you back.
You know what I hate? I hate when people follow you, and once you follow them, they unfollow you.
Oh, that's a weak move right there.
That is a weak move. Don't do that to Jerry.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not nice. Because the reality of it is that I'm a genuine dude, and I'll follow you. Like, I don't care what you're into. Like, as long as you're passionate about something, you could be growing carrots. But if you're passionate about it, I'm totally with it.
Yeah, so send us your carrot content.
Hot carrot content.
Hot carrot content. And, yeah, YouTube and your pod page.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, if you go to podpage.com/The Offering with Jerry Horror, you'll get all of the content, all of the episodes, and you'll find it all in one spot.
Yep. Uncensored.
Uncensored.
Too hot for TV.
And also your TeePublic page.
Oh, that's right.
Where all your merch is. So I just got myself a hoodie.
Ooh.
I'm excited for warmth.
Who doesn't love warmth?
Body warmth. No, yeah, I got a cool hoodie. You got some cool stickers and shirts and hoodies and other stuff. So
yeah.
go get that. Wear Jerry on your body.
Yeah, put me on your body.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I think we did our job today.
Yeah, I going any further than that, I will most definitely be canceled.
Okay, so hopefully you'll be hearing Jerry this late spring. All right, say bye, Jerry.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye. And you know what? Fuck you. I hope you do cancel me, son of a... No, that's not the way I want to go out. I want it to go out like, like a good guy. All right, I hope you do cancel me. You stupid son of a bitch. No, because nobody ever says that. Like, when people sign off, nobody ever says terrible shit. They always say, oh, man, I really appreciate it. They try to be humble, and it's all bullshit.
I did it already, so you can do whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Tell everyone to fuck off.
No, I was going to go into that whole soliloquy that Samuel L. Jackson is, and I hope they die, and I hope they burn in hell. What movie is that from?
To Kill a Mock... No, not... it's one of those...
It's one of those McConaughey. A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always a good time to kill.
It's always a good time to kill with The Offering.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Oh, wait. That's. Can I tell people? Can I just... One last thing?
Sure.
It's going to be all John Grisham movies. The whole season.
Pelican Brief. The Firm.
A Time to Kill, obviously.
That's the first episode.
Yeah.
That's all I could name.
That's it. That's all we got.
Send your John Grisham ideas to Jerry. Any movies you could cover.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. This is what you wanted. This is nothing but John Grisham movies.
All right, so coming this spring, the John Grisham Offering. All right. Bye.
Bye.